revolution competitor. One man stands against the most advanced army on the planet and will master time to become the ultimate weapon. Time Shift. This October. Rated M for mature.
Whoa! What are you doing here?
Spawn camping for Mario. It's gonna appear in that mailbox, and I'm gonna be here as soon as it does.
You're camping out in the mail room?
Yeah, that's where they bring the mail. And Mario Galaxy is coming in the mail.
Alright.
Don't want to miss it.
Okay.
Hey, Garnet's wants us to go practice Rock Band again, Beard Rock. I love the bands and he's angry, so let's go.
Oh god. Let's go. Well, good luck.
Thanks, good luck to you too, Beard Rock.
Beard Rock!
Come on.
I failed.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's
Dude,
going on, man?
so what was the deal last night? I couldn't connect to any of your games.
I know, it's bullshit.
I couldn't connect to anyone's games last night.
I was playing, I couldn't connect to your guys' games, but like playing against random people, I was playing just fine. I played for like an hour and a half last night. It was perfect.
Me and Melky, we played, and I was able to connect to his game, but it was lagging pretty bad.
Really?
Like, yeah,
How bad?
Everything was in slow motion.
That's
pretty
fun.
much. I mean,
Because for the most part, that's not what I've been experiencing. I mean, that's what I experience usually when I'm playing, like online fighting games. I'd heard that they had kind of tuned the online play so that offense works and defense doesn't work as well. I don't know how they did that or whatever, but generally you can like input a combo string, and even if it's jerky, like all the moves will still come out. But defense seems a lot harder.
Like you said, when it worked right, it really worked right. But when it worked wrong, it really worked wrong. Especially when you have a guy who like knows what he's doing and it glitches up, or it like slide shows up, you know. And for a while, it stops and freezes and stops and freezes. And if a dude is just mashing his like attacks over and over, you can't block.
We've had this game for around the past week, and this is the week before the release in the US, so like not that many people have it, but we have been able to find games. I'm assuming that they're European players because the retail European release came out a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I definitely have had some matches that felt a little bit laggy, you know, like you were saying, where people were mashing punch, 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 kick. You know, most people consider VF to be a more technical fighter. So, you know, it's going to take people, you know, new players a little bit of time before they actually know what the hell's going on. And so I thought that at the beginning of this game's release, you know, playing online would be kind of a headache because most people would be mashing.
I had an hour, there was like a stretch of an hour this morning that I was like golden. I was playing, it felt like there was a person next to me, you know, I was just kicking ass or getting my ass kicked actually, but it was mostly that after that hour, it stopped responding, and all of a sudden there was a time, when you have the quick matches where all of a sudden you get someone and it comes up right away and their name pops up, and then all of a sudden can't connect to host, and can't connect to host, can't connect to host, and seriously I couldn't connect to a host for like half an hour straight.
If you're connecting to a game via quick match or custom match, you as the connecting player are always going to end up on the second player side. Well, it's a little thing. I prefer playing on the first player side, So I found that if you create your match, then you're always going to start on the first player side. And if you create your match, you never have to deal with anyone dropping out of your game or not being able to connect because they just connect.
Right.
So I started creating matches, and that was a much more fulfilling experience. And in fact, that was exactly what I did in Street Fighter on Xbox Live as well. That I used to have connection problems trying to connect to people's games, and once I started creating matches, that went away completely. And once you get that green connection icon with a couple bars, it just looks like a cell phone connection thing. I find that the connection is genuinely perfect. If it says it's perfect, it runs better than I've ever seen a fighting game run, which is really, really nice. And I think that now that the game's actually available in stores, that I'm hoping that there'll be so many people everywhere that have the game that getting a game with a good connection won't be that difficult. Number one, I'm never going to be able to accept a fighting game that doesn't have online play after this. I mean, it was really hard after DOA and really hard after Street Fighter, but now that Virtua Fighter has it, no fighting game can come out without online play that works now. And so I think the next step is the game that really nails the community stuff. I think the big thing that needs to change for the next version of Virtua Fighter is what we were talking about. We wish that there was a better lobby system.
Like in Street Fighter, where you can invite a few people in, so they can watch your matches, and you can have quarter up and you can fight up next, you and your buddies.
Yeah, and you can watch as your friends are playing.
Matches, yeah.
That was what was cool about Dead or Alive. It worked in Street Fighter as well. And one of the things we were thinking of is they have, the quest mode in the single player, which has a graphical interface for, different arcades and tournaments and stuff. Wouldn't it be awesome if you could, if the quest mode was online and you could connect, you went into a virtual arcade and it had, 30 arcade units that you could hop onto, and this one had 3 dudes on it, this one has 0, so you play, and then you invite your friends to play.
Maximize ping. What if they made by location, by geographical location?
Sure.
Here's a Club Sega in California, and you can all just go in there.
Right, and maybe you want to play against Japanese players because that's interesting to you, and you're willing to sacrifice connection speed for the ability to play against other players. The gameplay works, and I'm happy. But I wish that there was more community features. It's revision C of the arcade version, it's got all the updated costumes and stuff, which are really cool.
Right. That's what I like. I like to, when you go into a rank match and you see another character's costume and just the crazy things that they added.
It's not the same as just changing your outfit color or something like that. Everyone gets a little bit of personality into their character, and it really shows.
You can see how far a person has gone in quest mode by the items that they've gotten that's new and stuff
not only
like
that, they made going through quest mode in this version either. I mean, I think people sort of know, but this is the superior version of Virtua Fighter. The quest mode is so much more fun to play now because in the PS3 version you started with much less cash from the get-go. Because you start with extra money, people can hop in the quest mode, pick a character, and start customizing it, and right away have something that looks so much different than the default characters that, you're going to be able to, from the get-go, have a character that looks unique-ish, and hop online and play someone with it. And I think that's so much better than the way it was. It took me 5 times as long to make my character look like what I wanted it to look like in the PS3 version than it did in the Xbox 360.
You're never going to have the same character when you go out on there and play ranked matches. No character's going to look the same.
Ready? Go!
As negative as I've been sounding about this game, when it works good.
And I'm here to say that as negative as he's been about it, I can't go over and verify your network connection. I've had nothing but great luck with this, and even the matches, even the matches that were laggy, were still, I would define them as playable.
Right.
Not optimal, but playable. And when it is perfect, it is optimal. It's great. a lot of people said they didn't want to buy a PS3 for Virtua Fighter 5. There's a million people that say they don't want any fighting game unless it has online play. Well, I feel like it's kind of annoying that the PS3 version didn't get updated with these new features, but, you know, Sega did deliver this time. It could be better. It's not perfect as far as the lobby system goes, but because it has the Revision C extra features, like I've noticed a couple moves that are different in my character from the old version to this version, and every change that I've noticed so far I would consider a positive change. So it is the better version. The only thing they ruined is the loading screens. The loading screens, there were elements in the background of the old version and the arcade version that were orange, and now they're green, and it's kind of ugly. I had so much fun playing against random people. It's so much better than playing the computer.
This is what we've been waiting for. I mean, we've been waiting to play a fighting game online, you know.
Everyone needs to get this
So
game.
much better competition. Yeah.
Anyone who's a fighting fan needs to get this game, and unfortunately, they also have to buy a joystick because it's crap
Absolutely crucial.
on the normal
I
360
don't mind this
controller.
story stick. Like I like it. It reminds me of the PS2 ones that I was playing on Soul Calibur.
I
And
think they're fine. It's not anywhere near as good as my Sega PS3 sticks, but that's just
half the price.
yeah. It's that one is almost half the price. Anyway, I have the old DOA one, and that one is essentially the same thing. It's a little heavier than this one, but pretty much the same thing, and totally recommended for anyone who wants to buy the game. But there's no excuse for people who said that online 3D fighters don't work. You know, now if you've been waiting, you wanted an online 3D fighter,
Fully
this is it.
functional, yeah.
It works. Hop in. It's fucking awesome. Like, the more people, you know, I've been wanting to play Team Fortress, and there's all these single player games that are coming out, and yet still every night I find myself online playing Virtua Fighter.
Yep.
Mario, I just met a game named Mario, and suddenly I see how wonderful a we can be. Mario, now it's here, it is time for playing. Now it's time for you are Mr. Game. Mario, I'll never stop playing Mario.
Rated M for mature.
To tell us the time.
I was thinking, like, I'm like, man, it's so cute. Everything's so adorable, and I started thinking, if you were somehow in this world for real, like, what a nightmare that would be.
Yeah, I would wake up every night in a cold sweat. Oh, the cuddly stars are out to get me. I don't know where Mario went from being bizarre and surreal, like, you know, the hills have eyes, you're jumping around in a shoe on eating on, like, carnivorous plants, to this cuddly, happy world where everything's fuzzy and squishy, makes little happy chirpy noises at you and sparkles.
think Mario gets away with it though. You still has kind of some
That's
nostalgia.
because it's a front, because you start playing the later levels and then it kicks your ass. And have you been to Sweet Sweet Galaxy yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
That
Did
one
it kick
was-
your ass?
I was pissed off for a while, but I was still like, I'm gonna finish
Yeah.
this thing.
No,
And I was-
you're like, this game is too cute. I'm not gonna let it get the best of me.
Yeah.
Screw this game.
I think this game kicks your ass from the beginning, which impressed me. The fact that there are the black hole pits in the very beginning of the game, when in the first level, you
It's
realize,
just the equivalent of a bottomless pit.
yeah, but like the fact that it has that in like a mass market platformer in 2007, when like death is not something that happens usually in like most games anymore. You don't die a lot in Ratchet and Clank. You don't die a lot in a lot of these new platformers. In this game, you probably will die in that first level as you figure out like the rules of the world. And like I think kids, when we get to like Sweet Sweet Galaxy, they're gonna be like, "Jesus, this is hard." Or even like the
My parents are more awesome than I realized if they could play this kind of thing.
the surfing level where you're surfing on the manta ray. I think that's kind of hard too. I died at least like 5 times. on
I
that
found the
level.
trick to that is don't try to beat the time. Just go really slowly.
Yeah, if you go
You'll
really
still
slow,
get the
it's not
star.
so hard, but
See, you were making fun of me for not getting as far as you, but I didn't have trouble. I didn't die at all in the first Galaxy. In the Stingray level, I didn't die
Really?
at all either. Yeah.
I play really quickly. I'm not someone who's very patient with Mario. I want to get through the levels as quickly as possible. So,
But what you were saying about the rules, that is one thing that's really interesting about the game, is that it just kind of takes all the things you know about how platformers are supposed to work and then sort of throws them away. It's not like reverse gravity's never been done in a game, but I haven't really seen it in a 3D game before. And it doesn't just do reverse gravity, but there'll be, planetoids, which are basically just like a disc, and you can run around the sides.
Yeah.
And one thing I really like is that the game is really good about communicating its rules to you very subtly. Like any kind of special move you can pull off, you're going to see someone in the stage
Yes.
doing that move. So it's kind of a hint.
they do a really good job of that, actually. And when you
Rounded
get to
to
those
the
little
side.
areas where it's a strangely shaped object and you can run and platform all the way around it, when you learn like the incredible jumps you can do and like hanging around and like this is a platforming you've never done before. And that's where it does feel like a whole step beyond 64 and Sunshine, obviously, and like it is changing the Mario formula in a concrete way.
I keep coming back to the Mario 3 comparison because I feel like the way this game relates to the two games before it is very similar to how Mario 3 related to Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers 2. Like Super Mario Brothers basically laid down the rules for 2D platforming.
Right.
Super Mario Brothers 2 did all these, like the US version, did all these crazy things that weren't really Mario. It was a great game, but it didn't quite feel like Mario. And then Mario 3 went back to the roots. It just it kind of played with the conventions, which was really cool. And then you look at the 3D games, you have Mario 64, which laid down the rules of 3D platforming. Then Super Mario Sunshine did a lot of weird things that didn't quite feel like Mario. It was a good game, but maybe not true to the spirit. And then Mario Galaxy goes back to the roots and then gives you little bite-sized levels, gives you lots of power-ups, and kind of throws aside a lot of the rules of the genre.
Did you beat it already then?
I did, and I will probably go for all 120 stars, although some of the later stages in the game are really, really hard. There was one level where I lost about 15 lives in about 3 minutes span.
Yeah.
The later levels are just pure hardcore Mario platforming, and they're really a test of skill.
Is it still though even later? Because early on, you get plenty of one-ups. There's plenty of ways to get. You have enough.
Like
lives
every
and
time
you
I
never
quit the
worry.
game, I have 50 lives. But I will say that later in the game, that your lives go pretty quickly.
I'm not as far as you. I haven't beaten the game, so I've spent most of my time with the B suit so far. I'm still not a fan. I like it a little more than I did back in E3, but I still don't think it's that fun. Like the flying isn't that exhilarating. You lose it all the time, but it's always there to get it again. It's just kind of like a means to an end, and not that fun.
There are some power-ups in the game that are quite a bit more fun than the B-suit.
Yeah.
The B-suit I like just because it's novel and because it's basically another way to accomplish your goals.
And it's cute.
It is rather
It's so
cute.
fluffy.
But yeah, it isn't that fun.
It does get annoying. Like when I first got to the Bumblebee level, I'm looking at these really high platforms, and I'm thinking, I know I could get there.
But it's not easy.
Spent probably a half hour, 45 minutes, just trying different things, and then I ended up wasting all that time.
Yeah.
Although the game does reward you a lot for just going out of your way and trying stuff and exploring things. If you think, I wonder if I can do this, and you try it, a lot of times you can, and not only can you do it, but you'll be rewarded with one-ups or with entire stars,
Well,
like
that's
a
true,
secret
but
hidden item.
the only problem there is, for me, it's like the classic camera problems return for 3D Mario. It's like some areas you can do the flipping around left to right thing, and some areas you can, and it kind of drives me crazy that you just can't do it all the time.
Well, and there's even weird incentives for just like looking places with the camera, because now you can grab all those little pieces of candy or whatever with just your little stylus. I mean, your stylus, your pointer. So like if you look over there, sometimes there'll be like Mario written in the sky that you can just grab. There's no reason for it to be there except for you to see it and to take it. But I'd say in general the camera angle is further out than I'm used to in Mario's. It works well because the level designs are so strange and large. But I was gonna say the game gets really good mileage out of what levels it has. It forced you to go back to levels multiple times. That's not new. They've done that a lot. But because there's so much collection in the game, as a completist, I mean, you must feel the same way. There's so much crap to collect in each level. But it's optional crap. I know you can say like the star bits, you don't have to get those. But when I know that like they're sparkling in that flower bed or it's over there, like I can go get those things. I want to go get them.
I can't help but
I know, and every time I go back to the level, and you play these levels like 3 times, you're like, oh, I want to get all that crap again. Because you bring those star bits back to like the hub world and feed them to people to open up new levels, like I do want to get those things.
Yeah. I'm the exact same way. Like every time like I die, I go back, I see the sparkly flower bed. I know it's just going to give me a coin, and I don't need the coin. And I'm just like, I still got to get it. I can't leave it.
But it doesn't. All they really do is just unlock special stages, and once you have all those stages unlocked, there's no real reason to have the star bits except to shoot.
We should talk about the star bits and the shooting, because like the shooting in the very beginning of the game, you can shoot. It doesn't even teach you until like a few levels in, but then you can already shoot, and the shooting is functional. You can stun enemies with it. There are bosses where you have to hit them to stun them. You can like knock things to create coins that give you your health back, and the second player can do all this with the second player Wiimote. Does it really add that much to the game? Do you think it actually like helps the gameplay of Mario?
I think the pointer is a nice touch, especially when you get into the galaxies where then you're actually using the pointer to pull Mario and fling him off into space.
Yeah, but that's kind of different. That's a different.
That was one of the first things I ever saw with.
I think that gameplay is interesting, but I think just like the pointing and shooting, like shooting gallery aspect of it is kind of take it or leave it. Like when Mario's jumping between planetoids, oftentimes you can like it'll like a shooting gallery, and you can shoot the little things to get them to collect the star bits. But other times I forget that I'm even using that, and like when I'm just platforming with Mario, you don't have to be shooting things, and I forget that you can even do it. And then like, oh, now I can shoot things. Like it's not like all the time I'm shooting stuff while playing.
I'm more collecting than shooting, because it's not that hard to jump on the enemies in order to do the spin attack and hit them. But for me, it's just like, well, I need these star bits anyways, because I need to feed the star people back at the home base. And for me, it's like, it's so nice to be able to point to it instead of having to walk over it, because now collecting coins, which you can't collect with your Wiimote, is kind of annoying. It's like I gotta walk over it and touch it, and it's like this is so old school. Like I'd rather just point my cursor.
I love that you just point the cursor. That's true. Yeah. That's really fun. But I think the shooting mechanic, because you don't use it that much, when you do have to use it, I'm always like, oh yeah, I can shoot stuff. Like I would kind of wish they made you use it more.
You really don't have to use it very often at all. Is the thing. I would rather have this kind of Wii functionality where it's mostly optional, just something that's extra, another way to play. So it's an option that's there. It doesn't feel tacked on and frustrating. You guys haven't fought any of the Bowser stages yet.
I did the first Junior Bowser.
Bowser Jr., his stages are really cool, and this is the first time I've ever actually wanted to see Bowser Jr. Like, I can't wait to see the next Bowser Jr. battle. But the actual battles with Bowser are even cooler. I don't want to spoil them, but I will say that the first Bowser encounter you face would be a great final battle in any other Mario game, and they kind of build from there.
I think, I found a few bosses. I thought the bosses were pretty creative, and not necessarily the rote Mario bosses you're used to seeing in the first few hours of the game. They introduce new gameplay mechanics, and it's fun and clever, and, kind of plays with your expectations. So this is the first Mario with, like, kind of serious cutscenes, like, a lot of them, even. Like, the beginning's very front-loaded with cutscenes, and we're not used to that in Mario. We're not used to, like...
It's very... Well, Mario Sunshine was kind of chatty, too. Yeah, it had Mario on vacation, getting thrown in jail, blah, etc. But, yeah, this game does have a lot of talking, and there's story throughout the game. There's, like, a storybook that you unlock as you progress through the game that kind of gives the backstory of the space raft that you're on.
The celestial beings that you're helping out. Yes. This mysterious, sexy star princess.
Right.
Because Mario was a lot hotter than
Peach. She's a lot hotter than Peach.
I'm like, Mario should get with that.
Maybe he will. But yeah, I think the cutscenes, like, it's a new cutscene engine, and like it's among the best looking graphics we've seen on Wii. I think. Don't you? When you agree?
Yeah.
The cutscene engine.
I think the whole game looks pretty good. It's like what game looks better on the Wii?
That's a good point. But there are points when I'm playing the game where I think it looks really good aesthetically. Like some levels are just like really pretty, like star fields and cool color choices. But other parts, like it looks a lot like Sunshine, and in a way, it almost looks a lot like Mario 64. And especially if you ever press no, but if you press up and go to first person, like some of those textures would be like, yikes.
Yeah, but you're not really supposed to see them.
Yeah,
From
you're not supposed
perspective. Like the game has kind of a fixed camera.
Right, that's why it is kind of far out. And,
Right.
like, it helps it look better. But if you do look close on things, like, oh, that's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know because everything's so crisp, like, and the water effects look really good. I think it's a really good looking game.
Yeah, so I mentioned the wave race level where you're on the back of the manta ray, and that's where you're actually using the Wiimote to completely steer the action 100%, and it works pretty well. It's a little tough if you're trying to go fast, as I said. The other one I got to was Mario on top of the ball. On that one, you hold the Wiimote like vertically and just kind of steer it like a joystick. I felt that one was hard too. Like those are both challenging, and it forces you to really like wrap your head around the Wiimote and get get the handle on it.
The game kind of worked really well. Like if a monkey ball game played like that, instead of tilting the game world, if you actually were just controlling Mario or the monkeys, I'd probably like the monkey ball games a lot better. There's definitely a lot of fan service for fans of the Mario games. Like I know the images are out there, like Nintendo's actually shown where Luigi first appears, so I don't feel bad about talking about that. But the first time you meet Luigi, it's on a galaxy that's basically a haunted house. So it's like a reference, an in-joke to Luigi's Mansion, and you have to go in and rescue him because he's like, Mario! And not only that, but when you first land on the planet, there are Goombas walking around wearing pumpkin masks, which is totally a nod to Super Mario World when you beat the game. It's just, there's little things like that all through the game, just little nods and references. If you're familiar with the older Mario games, you're going to see these and be like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I've totally forgotten about that.
Just bringing back airships and that evokes Super Mario Brothers 3. It makes you wish they brought back the Koopa Kids all together. That'd have been good.
Yeah. Although I will say that they actually make good use of Bowser Jr. in this game. It's a miracle. I didn't think it was possible, but I don't miss the Koopa Kids that much because they actually do put them to good use.
Well, and I will say, so far for me, overall, the celestial theme works really well. It works better than the tropical island theme of Sunshine. It seems more like a real step forward, something the franchise hasn't done before, different, but yet,
Well, not only that, it's kind of a carte blanche to just do whatever they want. I mean, there's no real limitation. Everything has kind of like a space theme, but not really. There's tropical islands, just like Super Mario Sunshine. There's haunted houses. There's grasslands. There's just so much diversity in it. It's really, really impressive.
No, so I mean, you're thinking about it. I mean, it's 56 seconds, so then there's nothing going on. So you need to make sure that everybody still has their multipliers going, because then.
Yeah,
okay.
but the problem with vocals is I'm on a different scale.
Right. So we still give the 8x more often when we do it based off.
That's gonna be cool when it works out that when we do the combo fill, because I'll start.
All right. Okay, Beard Rock, come on. Don't be getting so full of yourselves just because you beat Game Pro in the first round. Come on, they lose at everything. You guys.
Barely.
But just barely. Yeah, just barely beat them. So, you ready for this week?
Yeah, we're definitely ready for this.
You think you're ready?
Yeah, I mean, we've totally been practicing. It's really good. I'm really excited.
What, practicing what, half an hour? You call that practicing?
No,
Yeah, you're gonna have to really bear down. You can not be defeated in this. What are you doing right now? You're just standing around talking. That's not practicing.
No, we're doing strategies.
What do you need strategies? You play the guitar, you play the bass, you play the drums, and don't screw up. That's all you gotta do.
We're doing awesome in that last one.
What are we gonna do this week?
What are you gonna do this week? You're gonna do 4 songs this week, okay? You're gonna log into the score here, you're gonna play 4 songs. You're not gonna know what they are until they come up. So you have to practice everything. You have to know every song in this set, backwards and forwards. Have you practiced all 50 songs?
I did about 42.
42, is that 50?
No.
It's close.
No! That's close.
Well,
in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you wanted to do is pass? You're better than that. You're better than that. You're better than that. And I don't even know about you. You just
We have work. We have jobs.
practice. No losing.
I know, we're winning.
You're
number 1. It's gonna be good. Don't worry, because you think about it, we got Klepik,
Hey!
jamming.
Hey! Don't be talking like you run the band or something. You're just the drummer. Hey!
Yeah,
You're not in charge. Velson, go get a switch.
Oh, Switch?
Yep.
Not again.
Go get a Switch.
Alright. Why don't I hang this?
One man stands against the most advanced army on the planet and will master time to become the ultimate weapon. Time Shift. Available now. Rated M for mature.
Rock Band is decidedly different from Guitar Hero in that in its shipping disc, it is not a guitar-only game. And a lot of people like are being split not because all the guitars are compatible with all the different games. Like, which one do I go with if I just want the solo experience, or are you going for the like social experience? Which Rock Band is, and it's a social game. Some of the songs that when you're playing single player just with the guitar aren't that fun. But songs that aren't that fun to play just on guitar by yourself are still intensely satisfying to play when you're in the context of an entire group.
Yeah. At first you're like, oh yeah, I get to play these songs I usually like to listen. And then by the 50th song, you're trying to break in, you're like, oh my god, I'm bored to tears because I'm just singing, or I'm waiting for a guitar solo, or I'm just doing like cowbell like this. But once those, when those songs come up on career mode, I was like, oh god. But then when we all played together, I was like, yeah, it's the crazy song, and it's like so much more fun and so much more rewarding.
In the career mode, you pretty much are going down a set list of songs like Guitar Hero, play. But in the World Tour mode, it's like a whole different game. You're going to like choosing your gigs. You can ask your manager for advice, like Madden style. There's like all these different little quirks that make the career mode more interesting. But none of that. The single player is almost like an afterthought, just playing through a list of songs as each instrument. But all that stuff only comes together in the social experience.
In its initial disc form, before if the downloadable content lives up to theoretically they release stuff every week. You can customize it to the guitar game that you want,
right.
or the drum game that you want. If it's literally an iTunes a la carte store, like they're promising, it will be irrelevant with a month after. You should be able to customize the experience. But as it is now, if you're playing one instrument, unless it's the drums, it's really hard to recommend Rock Band, especially when the entrance fee is $170.
Yeah. Let's say all the downloadable content goes really well, and say they have famous bands or they have indie bands. This might be a new way to experience music. Instead of oh, I'm just gonna download from iTunes because I like the song. Now I'm gonna download through whatever I have and sing it or drum to it or play it. Yeah. And that's so much more, I don't know, immersive than just listening to it. But you're you can fucking experience that.
How do you guys feel about the actual physical instruments so far?
Well, I'm actually one of the few in the office that actually far prefers the Rock Band guitar. I like it. It still has the really chintzy whammy bar, which is actually broken. Everything other than that, I like the fact that there is no gap in between any of the buttons. I like the fact that they're close together. And the solo buttons, which take a lot of adjusting to because you have to move all the way down.
Can you use it though? Because I just couldn't do it.
Really?
By the time I actually learned to go down there for a solo and position my fingers enough, then by the time I actually do that in a solo, the solo is halfway over, and when I get to the end, it's so hard to get back up here in time and do it. I kind of like in Guitar Hero 2, when I go and reset my fingers up to the top, having these more tangible buttons that your fingers are resting on.
It's one of those things that you can't just jump into, but I can see that sitting down and figuring out how to use that in normal play would be intensely satisfying. But it's a huge learning curve.
I don't think it's worse necessarily. I'm still adjusting though. It's just been tough to adjust after playing so much Guitar Hero for so long, going to this where it's a whole different feel.
Well, that's what we were talking about. Is the unfortunate part about the fact that the Rock Band guitar doesn't work in Guitar Hero 3 is that if you're gonna the experience of playing high level play on both of these guitars, the Guitar Hero 3 or Guitar Hero 2 or Rock Band guitars, it's very different. And the difference of having a spacing between your fingers or not like I can't, if I go back and try to play Guitar Hero 3, like I cannot do it on that guitar
you can't go
because
back
I'm
and
too used to the Rock Band guitar.
Right.
Whereas like you were talking about how you were failing songs in Rock Band, as soon as you hooked in the Guitar Hero 2 controller, you were doing fine.
Yeah.
And that's just, you kind of need to pick. Like people are gonna have to pick which controller they want to use because unless you're just dicking around with like medium and maybe hard, you're not gonna be able to play expert and just swap between the two guitars.
In terms of equipment, I can't really say much. It's standard sort of microphone, but the vocals from Rock Band's a lot more like SingStar. Feels a little bit more accurate than Character Revolution in terms of like, well, basically singing is just pitch and timing, and the pitch is very, very exact. And you can, when we were practicing, I would sometimes have to sing an octave higher or lower because it was either, Chris Cornell or Karen from the AAS. But compared to, say, SingStar, there's the sort of the rap meter, and it's just instead of pitch, it's all timing, how you space your rap words. Some of the songs that feature that is Epic by Faith No More that has all that rap sections in the beginning.
Can you feel it, see it, hear it today? If you can't, then it doesn't matter anyway. You will never understand because it happens too fast. And it feels so good, it's like walking on glass. It's so cool, it's hip, it's so right. It's so groovy, it's out of sight.
Not only do you have to learn what songs sound like, you have to learn how the rappers sound like, because they're going to judge you on that. So I would say sing aspect's a little bit more like SingStar, the recent SingStars, than Character Revolution. But it's fun. I can't believe they can jam all of the play data on one screen, like of all 4 players.
Yeah, and it works, and it's not intrusive, and it's it's all scrolling at the same time. And I think the presentation of Rock Band is just so much superior and just so much cooler for the experience.
Yeah, and you actually appreciate things like the character creation and the whole like background. That actually feels really cool, like lip syncing with the characters on screen, which seems like it's a little thing, but like you're saying, the presentation is really well done in this, and you actually like appreciate it as part of this whole package.
The other big thing for this one is the drums, and drums are very difficult off the bat, and like that's in our competition, that's been like, Nelson on drums has been like what's been really helping us because drums are the most difficult instrument to learn and you can't fake them.
It looks effortless, and Nelson's a genius on drums to begin with, and watching him play is like so effortless, but when I try, like I just, I'm like a robot.
Also, I think kind of the thing that they spent the most time on in the game, because like the fills are really fun. Just these big gaps, you can play whatever you want as long as you like end on green, the symbol. It just kind of works really well, and in all the songs, I guess just because of the nature of music, there's always the beat going on, so you're always doing something. I think the drums are of all just kind of the most satisfying individual instrument, and something that they obviously wanted to get right.
Seasons don't fear the reaper, nor do the wind, the sun, or rain. Come on, baby, take my hand. We'll be able to fly.
When you play online multiplayer, which is something we've started experimenting with basically just now because of the Rock Band competition that's going on, if you could get like 2 sets of friends, like maybe if you had a group of friends back home and a group of friends here that wanted to play, like it is fun, like when you've got everyone like huddled around watching one instrument go against one instrument and watching the score battle like go on, but really like online playing these games is like not a compelling feature to me at all. Like it was sort of fun when we did it in that scenario, but I don't think I'm going to use it at all, like when I plug it in back home. Like,
well, also because they're saying that now, at least at launch, you can't go through the World Tour mode online.
I don't think most people know you can't do is that you can't sing online as a band. When you do the singing, competitively, it's just, you don't hear the voice. It's because it'll sound like shit when you hear it like come through like the Xbox Live or the PlayStation Network. It's not meant for that kind of bandwidth, and so at this point, I believe that as long as the downloadable content, as is promised, works how it's supposed to, like I'm going to buy Rock Band over Guitar Hero just because it, like the music in Rock Band, like New Pornographers, the Pixies, like the Weezer songs they chose, like it gels more with what I want from the game, and it doesn't bother me that it's not the complete guitar experience that Guitar Hero is, because that's not what I want anymore. Like after playing Rock Band, and having people to play with and being able to do that, like just being in the office, like you know, we're not even like, this game's made to come back from the bars and be drunk as hell and like just act like retards. And you know, it's just these social experiences is what I want out of this now. And like having played Rock Band and played the crap out of it, like I'm a believer in the social experience over the singular guitar experience, but wouldn't blame anyone for not wanting to do that, especially if they don't have friends that are into that sort of stuff.
Here's the